Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So I've already changed what this video is going to be about, and if you're seeing it, it already worked. We're going to be talking about headlights, specifically going from halogen to LED. Now this video is going to apply only to Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3 only through 2015 FJR1300 owners. 2016 and up, you guys already have very nice proprietary LED headlights. None of this applies to you, so just watch for fun if you wish. But let me tell you first why just going to regular LED headlights suck. And I've tested this many times over the years. It's not an opinion. I don't care what brand you have. I don't care what model you threw in. I don't care how bright it is. I'm not talking about brightness. I'm talking about how the lights physically work with reflectors. You see the back there? Headlight assemblies are really simple. You got a clear piece on the shield on the front. That's just to keep it sealed and keep it clean, and that doesn't do anything. That lets everything out. That piece in the back is very carefully crafted. That's a reflector. Should be pretty obvious. The way that works is with a halogen and halogen only bulb. You got these little tiny filaments, little coils of wire that burn and get really hot and bright. One has a 180-degree shield, the other is completely open. They are both point sources of light. All the light comes from a single point in space in a sphere that interacts very specifically with all these reflection points, and those reflection points need these filaments to be in one specific location to work. If they're not, you end up with light in front of you that is not where it's supposed to be. Either light up and down, light in pools, sometimes completely missing spots. It depends on what you throw in there, how wrong it's going to be. Now when you stick a regular LED replacement bulb in there, instead of being a point source of light, you've got flat LEDs that only shine light in one direction. And you might have two of them. Those are very common, one facing up, one facing down, and then nothing to the side. You might have three. Some bulbs are a little triangle, some are even a square. So you'll have filaments, or LEDs I should say, on all four sides, but that's still not in the right spot. It's impossible to have that LED in the exact spot that that halogen filament should be in, because that would be in the middle of the freaking device. And you still don't have light in a 360-degree sphere. It's not possible. You're always going to have problems. That's why I was excited to try out some of these. This isn't sponsored or anything. I researched and I bought these guys. These are self-contained headlight units in a bulb format. This happens to be the high beam. Now that one is depending on your reflector, so you're not going to have the very best light pattern of high beams. However, when you're using high beams, having a great cutoff line so you're not blinding traffic is irrelevant. You just want a lot of light. So we're going to ignore that. Just know that that is firing up like your traditional normal LED bulbs. So it is what it is. But the low beam is what's special. It's in this completely self-contained reflection unit with projector lenses on the front. These are just miniature projector lenses that you've seen in cars. So this is like a miniature version of the entire headlight assembly in the bike. This whole thing is condensed into this little thing and fits in a bulb format, and they barely fit through the back hole. Yes, it is a tight fit, but they work, and you do have to disassemble them to make them fit. Now this specific model I chose for very specific reasons. Here's what it looks like brand new out of the box, and you can see it looks very different than what I just showed you. We've got multiple parts, a little, I'm not sure if they're called ballasts anymore. I last used those on HID headlights. Maybe it's some kind of transformer or inverter, not sure, but it's a power supply. Think of it that way. That detaches right here with a screw-on connector, and then we have this big honking thing. Most of the time, these are integral to the base. This, however, is removable. It's got some heatsink compound. Don't wipe that off. We're going to keep that on. But it unscrews from the base of the unit. And that is to draw the heat away from the board. And that hangs outside of the housing. So that is behind where you normally have things down in the open cavity. Just sitting there, giving off its heat. Now you notice this particular unit is just a heatsink. 99% of these have a built-in fan, and you can't take it apart. What you'll have is something that looks similar to this, but bigger, hanging off the end, and there's basically a tiny little computer fan always running. If the headlights are on, the fan is running. I don't like them. I've tried them before. Every single one that was described as silent, no, I can hear it. So I didn't want the noise. Now the downside to using one without a fan, they're a little bit dimmer. In this case, they do offer this model with the fan, but the fan model puts out 10% more light. I'm not worried about that. This is going to be putting out a lot more light, even in the fanless designation, than the stock bike with the stock bulbs. So I'm not worried about that at all. I wanted the fanless design for no noise, and specifically because these were removable. Not all of them are, even without fans. That was important because I also want to use my protection boots, which go over the backside and cover the whole connection from the bike wiring into the headlight. The back of the bulb basically sticks out here, and you plug in your connector. Now in this particular one, I can take that heatsink off, feed everything through, attach the boot, and then screw on the heatsink to the outside. So the outside is going to look like this, with its cable coming through. Not bad. Downside, I cannot do this job by feel. Now I've done a how to change bulbs before, and I've done them many times before, but when you're doing a regular bulb, not something big like that, if you're just changing your regular headlight bulbs, left side, frankly, is very simple. You can turn your bars all the way to the left. I'm going to show you here with my left hand, but I do it with my right, and there's just enough room. I got big paws. I can get my hand in there, push the clip, undo the connector, pull the bulb out, no problem. I can have this one changed in 5 minutes, and that's why I'm testing with this one to show you in this video. Right side, a lot trickier because there's a lot more stuff in the way, but you can still do it by feel. And if it's too difficult for you doing it at the top, you can lay on your back and just stick your arms straight up, and that is often a lot easier. My spine just really doesn't like me doing that anymore, so I'm trying to avoid that. But in this case, I don't think I'm going to have great clearance on the right hand side because there is stuff in the way just from the way the battery is. So what I'm going to do is take off some panels, which is the book spec way of doing it anyway. So I'll take off the dash panel, take off this inner panel, take off the inner battery panel, and that way I can see what I'm doing, because when you do it by feel, you literally can't see anything. You can stick your phone down there and take a picture or whatever, but you really have to know what you're doing. You can't do it by feel only your first time. Forget about it. So I'm just kind of take stuff off until I don't have to, and then we'll figure out the best way to do it. On each of the headlight adjuster caps, we've got 2 little set screws in the holes. Completely remove those, pop the caps off. Power the bike on, open the glove box because we need to get to this screw. We got 4 screws to remove, 1 down there, 1 down here, and the 2 on the other side. Now we can separate the panels and get rid of the main plastic dash panel. You're just going to separate these 2. You can use a spudger. I just use my fingers. It comes apart pretty quickly and easily. You just separate it. They're all just plastic tabs. So just go slow, work your way around, loosen it until it's all separated. And these come off very easily. I just use a little Allen wrench. All you do is push down on that center. It'll pop down. Once that center pin clicks in the down position, you just slide it out. To reinstall them, it's super easy. You just reverse it, make it so it's sticking up, slide it in the hole, and just push it till it clicks flush. Now we've got 1 more push connector on the right and 2 on the left. Go ahead and take those out. Once you have everything detached, you can just wiggle it out. You may have to take stuff off your bars if you got stuff in the way. You can turn them left and right to make clearance. Just watch out for the edges of the plastic scratching anything, but there's enough room. Just carefully get it out. Take off these 2 screws here on the left, and we can loosen this plastic clip right here, and we can remove this inner panel. And similarly on the right, undo the clips here, take off this screw, and then we can take off the battery panel. And now you see how much easier it is to get in there and see what you're doing. Straight shot, no problemo. Now here on the right, you can see why it's so much tighter. We've got this big electrical connection here. I believe that's a relay for maybe the starter. Black square in the middle is the connector to the back of a headlight bulb. So that whole boot is going to come off. And we've got this adjuster bar slightly in the way. We can remove that pretty quickly if we need to. We've got this electrical plug here, but that's not quite in the way. But you can see why the right is a lot harder to do by feel. I'm going to show you a combo here. On the right, I haven't taken anything apart. So the first thing is to pull that electrical connector off. The black cube there in the corner with the yellow and black wire, just pull that straight off. And then it's got these little two tabs on the top and bottom of that rubber protective boot. Just pull that straight off, and then we'll see the bulb. This is a little obstructed, but you can see what I'm going to point out. If you see that little triangle shaped wire thing right in the middle, that's a retention clip. All you do is push forward on that and down, and it just comes off a little lip. It's just on there like a little hook, and it's like a door and swings open to the left. So you're going to open that, and the bulb is going to be loose. So you need to have your hand there or it's going to fall out. Now, if this is a burnt out bulb, nothing matters. If there's any possibility that you're going to be using that bulb again, number one, wear gloves. That bulb must remain 100% clean and clear of any debris, including the oil on your hands. So I'm just going to reach in there with my hand, push in and down to undo that little clip door, and then slide the bulb straight back out. So now we just need to prep the new bulbs. I'm doing one at a time here because I'm going to do an A/B test with the old one on the right, new one on the left. First thing is to unscrew the power supply, detach that, and now just unscrew the base. It might be a little snug there. Just give it a turn and it will pop off. Now there's one last thing we need to do to these bulbs before we put them in, and that's set the rotation. And that's only because Yamaha, for some reason, has the housings for the bulbs themselves rotated a bit. They're not perfectly vertical. So if you look here on the stock bulb, see that bottom there? It's rotated. As we're looking at it, it's counterclockwise, just a few degrees. Look at the lines of the reflector, and then look at that center and the bottom line there on the bulb. See, I lined it up at the top. See, it's slightly rotated. So if you put normal bulbs in, they will end up with the cutoff line kicked one way or the other. Now taking a look here, that one is the same as that one. So it's not even a design element where, you know, they made the lights do that to look like a face or anything like that. It's just both of them are kicked up like that. It's just the way that they designed the back of the housings for whatever reason. Totally a non-issue with normal halogen bulbs because, like I said earlier, it's a point source and the light goes everywhere. Doesn't matter where a bulb is rotated, it's the same. Well, except for the little cup for the low beam, but that's not enough to affect anything. So with these guys, if we were to put them in, they would be slightly rotated. So what we have to do is counter it, and luckily they make it really easy. Got two adjustment screws in slots, and you just rotate it a little bit the opposite direction. I'll show you that. So here's how we need the bulb to look after it's adjusted. Real easy way to look at it here. If you see that part that I twisted, it points pretty much directly to the corner of the little ear. See how I got it lined up? Straight down there. Lines up the corner of the ear. That puts it in just about the perfect position to counter the rotation, and we'll have a nice straight line. Do that to both the bulbs. And be real careful with these screws. They are soft, and 3 out of the 4 turned out no problem. One was really tight. I had to get a slightly better fitting driver. This is a Phillips #1, and it fit perfectly. And run these 2 screws that come in it out. Those are for other applications. And when you put them in, the silver side faces up. And now we can put this in place of the bulb. Be sure to take the protective plastic off the front of the projector. And this isn't critical as far as touching it and blowing it up, but you definitely don't want to touch it to put any kind of fingerprints or smudges on here. I'm going to wipe this real quick with a clean cloth, and we're going to put it in. It's going to barely fit straight in, but it does fit. And then once this is in place, clip that door, that little spring clip, just fold it back over, push it in, down, and hook over the clip, and this will remain in place. And just a tip, that little spring door loves to accidentally swing back in the closed position, blocking you from putting your new bulb back in, so just make sure it's all the way open and stays there. You can check the front just to make sure it is perfectly in place. It'll lock in place virtually when you get it right. It's going to be pointed straight ahead, and those 3 tabs will lock in. There won't be any wiggle. So now we have to put back on the protective boot, and this is actually pretty easy. We're going to use the parts itself to do part of the install. I'm going to show you outside here so you can actually see what I'm doing. So pretend this is the bulb now in the bike. This is just sticking out. What we're going to do is slide on the boot cover, put the cable through the middle, and just get it started through the center hole on this part of the shaft. Don't worry about snugging it up or getting it in there. We're going to let the heat sink do that for us. So I've just got it barely seated in place, right? It's just sitting there. Now feed one of the heat sinks, again, the wire through the middle, and screw that on. These are very fine threads, so do not cross thread them. Spin slowly. I like to, when I'm putting it on, turn it counterclockwise, like I'm taking it off, to let it, snap into the first thread before I start tightening. And then, I don't know, you got about 20 or so turns to go, and it will seat this all the way down into the perfect position. Now make sure that is very hand tight. That is solely responsible for sucking out the heat, and that requires a tight connection. And you can see it bottomed out the rubber seal, and just make sure this is snug around the bike housing. So now for the purposes of the video here, I'm going to connect the power supply, but normally I would do this after I put the panels back on, just so I can see where I want to mount this. I'm just going to use double-sided Velcro, stick it up somewhere completely out of the way, somewhere where it's not going to get directly wet, somewhere where nothing else is going to be hitting it. Not a big deal. We just connect the 2 wires and screw them together, and then the bike's stock wiring plugs into this, which mimics the old bulb sticking out, and it doesn't matter where you route those. All right, so let's go out and find ourselves a new dark spot of the neighborhood. Oh, might as well get a garage door shot here. See how far back am I? About 25 feet or so. Oh, love it. That is just awesome. That's just one bulb. This is just the left side you're seeing. I've got the stock bulb in the right side for comparison here, which you can't even tell is on because it's so much dimmer. This is like I just installed FZ09 headlights on steroids. That's the best I can describe this. All that cutoff is at the perfect level. Just hitting this, second gear helps. Just hitting the end of the street there. And it's so clear. See where the high hits. Oh yeah. Big difference. And the high is just a spot right in the middle above the cutoff line, so it leaves everything else on. It just gives you that one additional area of light. But we're going to go down. I'm going to put the camera on manual settings and just show you the difference in a dark location between the two, specifically at the throw pattern and light levels. And of course, this is the perfect pure white 6,000 degree Kelvin result. Oh, there's a deer. Man, we have so many deer strikes right here on this road because of all the idiots moving from out of state, driving like assholes. This is a 35 mile per hour street, and we regularly have people doing 50, 60, 70. There's almost zero traffic enforcement in Florida, but especially in this neighborhood, because there's only one way in and one way out. The cops just don't care. We have to hire, our CDD has to hire off-duty cops to do any enforcement in here, and there's almost 2,000 homes. For anybody not in Florida, I'm from Detroit, my wife is from New York, and it just blew us away
at the difference in enforcement down here compared to just about any other northern state, or even, I mean, the southern states. Look at Georgia and Alabama. My God, you sneeze wrong, you get a ticket. Nah, down here it's the wild, wild west. I'm not kidding. There's just nothing. That blue tinge on the signs is throwing me. It's a reflection off the little metal cutoff that's part of the bulb inside. It's only really noticeable in certain conditions. I saw it more on the ground when I first started rolling here. I can't tell it's there now, but just the way it was hitting those signs, it almost looks like police lights when it's right on the tinge. I think I'm going to drop the at least left light here just a little bit. I've got it even with the right at the moment. I think that's a little too high. But man, that cutoff line is beautiful. Yeah, see here, I wouldn't want it to be above the road. It's just above the road. It's not hitting the other drivers, but the way it's bumping, it's just distracting me a little bit. It's still, if I drop it just a tiny smidge, there's still way more light down the road than stock. And I still can't even tell there's a stock light on at all. This is spreading so far, even to the right, it's completely encompassing the right-hand stock bulb. So this is all new build in the last year, and they extended this road after about another quarter mile, so we should run out of street lights, hopefully. Got construction equipment, so that's a good sign. What's down here? Nice black area, no construction. All right, let me get a spot here out of the way. I didn't know anyone would be down here. I need to find somewhere where I can hit something at the end. It's not just going into pitch darkness. All right, I guess I'll do something around here because this is just going on and on and on with nothing to see. Let me flip around here and I can aim at that construction equipment. There we go. All right, that's good enough. So now we can see the cutoff line there on the construction equipment when I bounce. Yeah, I definitely want to drop that a bit. That's all right. I'm going to put it on the center stand. There we go. Let's try the highs here. Oh yeah, okay, that's going to be clear to see. Let me set up the camera real quick. All right, there we go. So I've got the camera locked down on manual settings, and it's exposed for the new bulb, so it won't be blown out. So I'm just going to walk in front of the left side, the new bulb, and what you're seeing is what I'm seeing. This is how dim the stock is in comparison. When I do this, it's like I can barely see the road because my eyes are used to seeing the new one. It is that stark of a difference. And look, I mean, the cutoff line is perfect. You don't see that whole construction equipment lighting up when I block it. It is razor sharp. It is a perfect projector lens. That is just fantastic. Let me cover the stock one. So there's a little bit of a yellow tinge just from that stock one in the light. So this is just the new one. You can see there's no spot of light that isn't being hit. When I put this right one in, I mean, it's going to be even better. It's going to be absolutely insane. Twice the amount of this light. Let me turn on the brights real quick. So here's the brights on. I'll cover the new one. That's just the stock, right-hand side. That's just the new. And that's both. Just the new and both. That's just an insane difference. It's probably a cop coming down to say, "What the hell are you doing over here?" Hey, the road's not closed. Not doing anything wrong. So I think that proves my point that these lights are freaking awesome. Let's go back. Wasn't a cop, just a guy in a golf cart off for a ride. I'm going to see if I can, I don't have the knobs, the adjuster knobs on here, but I want to see if I can lower this light just for the ride back. Oh no, that's too tight. Definitely need the leverage of the knob. But anyway, that can be completely easily adjusted once it's back together. Set the up and down levels. I know the right one, I'm just going to match the right one to the wall, and then the left one I'll do by taste next time I'm out. So there you go. I am ecstatic about how awesome these are. What an absolute game changer for riding this bike at night. I never liked riding this at night until now. Wow. This, and for the money, oh my God, $25 a pair. You can't touch it. Can't touch it. When I say that everybody needs to get these and upgrade, I don't care what LED bulbs you've gone to, I don't care what silver stars you put in, you need these. That's all there is to it.
So obviously these are a fantastic product. How long do they last compared to anything else? Nobody knows. They're too new. That goes for pretty much any LED bulb though, because they're always coming out every year or two with a new model. So whatever you buy, it's going to be a crapshoot. If you want absolute longevity, you only have one choice: stock bulbs. And I mean stock, not extra bright, because as soon as you go to extra bright, you get shortened life dramatically. But LEDs should last tens of thousands of hours, unless there's some manufacturing flaw. So don't worry about that. And as you can see, not a huge deal to swap them in and out. So where do you get them? I'll put a link down below. AliExpress is the answer. I know many of you may not have heard of it, or maybe you've heard of it and it seemed kind of shady or dubious because it's foreign to you, literally. Have no fear. AliExpress is the Amazon of China. Been around a long time, but with some very key differences. They do not have, like Amazon, a warehouse system. They're not a middleman. They don't do the logistics. They're just a storefront. They put you and me, the customers, directly in touch with all the different sellers and factories, direct. So they, wherever you buy it from, they will ship it directly to you. And 99% of the time, everything I've bought has been coming either through the mail or DHL. Depends on how big and how heavy the package is. The other key difference is, unlike Amazon, because Amazon has warehouses all over the country, you get everything in 1 to 2 days, basically. AliExpress flies over from China, so it takes 1 to 2 weeks, depending on, again, what you ordered and who you ordered it from. But that's it. The benefit is you get the same product. I mean, the same product. These same bulbs I found on U.S. sellers' sites, both on Amazon and private headlight stores and auto stores and things like that, for $75 to $100 to my door with shipping. These were $25. That's the key difference. You have no middlemen. You're buying directly from whoever is making what you want. So you're exchanging a huge cost savings for a little bit of delay in shipping. And that's it. So if you want to check it out, link down in the description. Hook ups, see you next time.